Good morning, my pal. Let me continue an exciting journey of Alexander the Great. The king Philippus II was killed by Pausanias in 336 BC. It was happened in wedding ceremony of his niece, and Alex was staying nearby him. In the ceremony place, it was theatre, Pausanias suddenly rushed him, and stabbed him by dagger. There are few information about his death, the reason why Pausanias killed Philip. But all are just like a gossip. Such as, Pausanias was his boyfriend, and jealous Philippus obtained another boyfriend. Olympias, wife of Philippus and mother of Alexander, asked him to kill Philippus. Or, Alexander and Olympias asked him to kill Philippus. Anyway, Alexander accessed his throne, as heir of Philippus II from that moment. His mother, Olympias, was a bit strange, from the sense of that day. And Philippus II removed her from Alexander. Then eventually, they were divorced. But Alexander helped her back to palace, after death of Philippus II. It seems, the relationship between Alexander and Olympias was not bad at all. Later, when Alexander marched in Persia, Olympias helped Alexander for its internal management. Meantime, King Philippus II gave best education for Alexander. And Alexander met one of important person of him in there. When Alexander was 13 years old, Philippus asked Aristotle to be his tutor. Even later, Alexander said, "I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teacher for living well." Same as Epaminondas, Alexander had great talent as philosopher. One more famous story of him, it shows he has curiosity for philosophy. When he heard reputation of Diogenes, Alex was very willing to see him. And just by the chance, Alexander had chanced to visit place of Diogenes. Alexander, thrilled to meet the famous philosopher, and, when Alexander visited Diogenes, he was relaxing in the morning sunlight. Alexander was very happy to see him, like an innocent young girl in front of an idol. And asked him if there are any favors Alexander might do for him. Diogenes replied, "Yes, stand out of my sunlight." Alexander then declared, "If I were not Alexander, then I would be Diogenes." After listened Alexander's this word, Diogenes replied, "If I were not Diogenes, I would still wish to be Diogenes." I believe this is not the true story, but we can wrap up the characteristic of Alexander from this episode. He and his companions studied medicine, philosophy, moral, logic, and art. Their relationship between Alexander and Aristotle continues up to his death. In other words, his beloved pupil achieves federation of West and East world. Also, he obtained his companions in there. Later, they became his strong cavalry as Hetyroi, in his expedition to Persia. One more, he got his Bucephalus, during this period. This is famous story that, this excellent horse was, not for him, but his father, Philippus. However, no one could train this horse to ride on. And his father just joked to Alexander that, "If you can control him, I will give this horse to you." Alexander loved this horse by just one sight, and wanted to have it very much. Alexander observed it, and recognized it scares shadow of itself. So, with gentle tapping on it, and move his position to let it feel safe. And, successfully ride on it. I do not believe, this story is true story as well. Actually, Alexander has these kinds of stories a lot. But, almost all, I believe, produced after he became great king of the world. But anyway, these topics show that, he was not just bold, and violent boy. After he became the king of Macedon, he had to do many things, within a short period. First, he has to consolidate his power, and let people to work on the war. So, he spent his time to military action, Balkan campaign. First, he has to suppress, and conquer all of the city-states of Greece. Imagine, now we are watching history, from present to past. We know, eventually, Alexander achieved great job in the history. But for the people in that moment, Alexander is, just heir of great king, Philippus II. Not sure, what he can do. He was, just 20 years old young boy. Therefore, many city-states against to him, disobey him. Also, unfortunately for him, he got information that, local tribe of Thrace, nowadays, Turkey, something wrong, and he immediately visited there. Indeed, he approached the Danube, and, Thrace tribe was hiding behind of Danube. Danube was quite big river, and point was, how to across this river. Alexander thinks of methods to across the river. He prepared many boats, and put float bag on it. Also, he asked cavalry to protect infantry by horse wall. And just one night to across the Danube. Of course, they, tribe of Thrace already gave up to fight with Alexander. But also, he got information that in Illyria, one of city-states rise in arms against Alexander. So, Alexander immediately moved to there. In there, situation was not really favor for him. He became sandwiched, between front and back. Imminent crisis. Do you know what he did in this circumstance? He started military training in there. Incredible. But, after seeing this training, Illyria soldiers was so shocked. Because of sophisticated marching of Macedon soldiers. Sometime, you feel funny that military marching. But once professionals see, they may recognize level of this army. Well line up, unification of their movement, no space to attack. So, Illyria troop lost motivation, and being defeated by Alexander with just one stroke. Also, really Macedon Locks phalanx was best of the best army in the world in ancient Greece. But again, the bad news reached to him. Thebe was invading Alexander's territory during his absence. Because Philippus II set up espionage system, still their intelligence service keeps on informing precise information, although, Alexander was in outside of his kingdom. It was amazing, because 2,300 years before. No advanced communication tools, no telephone, email, internet. How they make it possible? By horse? Philippus II produced particular massaging network system all over the Greece. All of a sudden, Alexander appeared in front of Thebe. Upon calculation, just 14 days to come over 250 miles. Do you remember, Philippus trained up their troop to achieve 15 miles per day. Alexander added up 20% on it. 18 miles per day. And actually, they took over mountain course to be invisible. So, it should not be easy course. Of course, Thebe was extremely terrified. And said that, it should not be Alexander. Indeed, cannot imagine so fast to come. When they are discussing, shall we hit Macedon territory? Already Alexander was behind. Wow! Still Thebe tried to against Alexander. So, Alex was in anger, and he asked his soldiers to destroy Thebe at all. Therefore, Thebe will not appear on the history book with its glory anymore. Again, obtained hegemony of Macedon, and all Greek, within just 2 years. But, his target was not there, and it was not also target of his father. Their target was, Persia. Alexander moved to Persian territory. Persia was under hegemony of Darius III. But, even Darius obtained the information that Alexander entered Asia Minor, still Darius did not take it serious, and ask his army to settle themselves. That's mean, he did not join for the battle itself. 334 BC spring, they met in Granicus. Persia prepared 25,000 to 30,000 feet, Alexander prepared 18,000 to 25,000 feet, according to tiny historical materials. Here, strongly I feel, amazing luck of Alexander. Still many historians said, why Persian army did not do scorched earth strategy, against to Alexander's marching. Scorched earth means, to burn his way. If they burn crops, wheat, and any resources of food on his way, Alexander should face to physical difficulty to feed his army. Actually, one of general in Persia suggested to Darius III to do so. But, some aristocracy of Persia reluctant to do so, because it disturbs his territory. And he said, he cannot trust Greek mercenaries. In that age, quite often that, they will hire mercenary to carry out war. Employ soldiers. And some of their mercenaries came from Greek. So, some of Persians were in doubt for these mercenaries. And, more silly that, asked them to stay behind of cavalry. Stay far from their main troop. Cavalry, it is strong troop, but, affect their performance by geographical circumstances. So, it should not be there alone. Contemporary materials show to us, it is not true case, but at least, Persian troops have separation for their standing position. If this was not Darius III, but Darius the Great, he did all what he has to do before the battle. But, unfortunately for them, and fortunately for Alexander, Darius III was not Darius the Great. I believe, Darius III did not have sense of battle which, Alexander had a lot. Actually, although Darius named himself as Darius, he just copied and pasted big name, reputation of Darius the Great. But, he was not a ground kid of Darius the Great. Just picked up by someone on the street, sorry, for him. I said, too much, but not right status to be the king. Just by luck, he became the king. Cannot compare with Alexander. Okay, my son, here, I will give you one question. During this battle, Alexander did something leader should not do in the battle. Do you know what he did? The battle stages will be separated to 3 scenes. First, across the river to open up battle line. Second, Alexander himself jumped into the battle. Third, Persian army routed from battlefield. The first stage, Alex struggled, but successfully asked his frontline cavalry to cross the river, as first runner. Point was, he did not ask the other line to move. Just stay there. Then, attention of their troop focus on their left wing only. And, even some of them try to move to there. Actually, there are another information that, Alexander recognized, difficulty to cross the river. And, he asked his cavalry to cross the river under cover of night. Because at that age, Persian army was not used to do battle on night time. Anyway, not so many historical materials, and it is still true that, Alexander's right wing across the river. Afterwards, Alexander waited for this chance. Finally, he took an initiative to cross the river, and attacked Persian front line with his companions. Massive mess happened. Confused fight. Melee. In this moment, Alexander was brave to join battle by himself. Even he killed their one of General Mithridates by his spear point. It is amazing, and from that moment, legacy of Alexander started. But, meanwhile, he was in imminent danger as well. Persian soldier, Mithridates was approaching him with his sword. Almost, Alexander was killed by Mithridates. But, Cletus the Black, cut off arm of Mithridates with its sword. Narrow escape for Alexander, leader should not be like this. Indeed, so many historical records described details of this battle. And, it is common comment that, because Alexander wear outstanding armor, quite easy to be identified, it is Alexander. And became target of them. However, Alexander never changed his style in his life. Battle in front line with outstanding costume. Anyway, Alexander was obtaining victory in regional battle. And, it was hidden intention of Alexander. His strong Sarisa, Locks phalanx was approaching to their front side. During this moment, Macedon phalanx also crossed the river, and faced to their cavalry. Cavalry is not really good chemistry against phalanx. Not good compatibility. Something like a rock paper scissors. Horse cannot come close to phalanx. Phalanx also cannot catch up with velocity of horse. So, Persian cavalry could not do anything for Macedon phalanx. That moment, Alexander hit them from behind. The war was over. Historical record described, Alexander lost 85 cavalry, and 30 infantries. And, Persia lost over 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Yes, amazing, and impressive result to let people to know, Alexander the Great. But, still Alexander did not stop. He turns to Greek mercenary of Persian army, and massacred all of them. They are same Greek people, but employed by money, betray Greek. So, Alexander must not leave them, forgive them. Must kill all. Otherwise, what he is going to do, justice for Greek, liberty of Greek will be faded away. Alexander obtained perfect victory. They are core troop of Persian, and after this battle, no Persian troop can against to Alexander in around there. So, Alexander proceeded his marching to everywhere of Asia Minor and moved to first battle with Darius III. But this topic may be introduced by coming up occasion.
As the journey continues.